Make no mistake, this is the big one. This is by far the biggest name ever to step into the What Is Up studio. I can't believe Bubba actually got this guy. You want to know who it is? How about a hint?
Alright.
Oh yeah, we got the guy from the Lincoln car commercials, Matthew McConaughy. What's that? It's not that Matthew McConaughy. Oh, my mistake. I should have known we couldn't land somebody like that. Now I'm being told it's Bubba's old high school friend and former co-worker who shares the same name as the famous actor. But apparently this guy's no slouch himself. For side gigs, he is the official scorer for the Waterloo Bucks. And he is the chairperson for the Youth Bowling Scholarship Foundation. But first and foremost, he is a pretty darn good dad and husband. Yeah, that's our kind of people. People who definitely know what is up. Here's your host, Bubba Seaman!
Thank you. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, you are in the right place. Even if you didn't mean for this podcast to pop up in your feed, stick with me for a minute. Okay, I know how this works. Sometimes this podcast gets recommended to people, not by your own choosing, but because Spotify sees how many views we're getting, and so it starts throwing stuff into people with similar interests. So maybe you didn't want to hear us today, but stick around. This could be like the time when you watch that movie that you didn't know anything about, or that movie that you just kind of thought was going to suck, and then it turned out to be awesome. This could be like that. Well, okay, let's be honest. No, it's not going to be awesome. It's just not. But, you know, this podcast could be better than you expected, maybe at the least. Yeah, that's us. We're better than mediocre. That's our zone right here, okay? So since you're here, just go ahead and hit that subscribe or that follow button wherever you're listening. You want a chance to win some free stuff? Well, then follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We're going to be doing a multiple winner giveaway real soon on our social media. So get there, follow it. Maybe you can win some free stuff. My guest today, he's going to be leaving here with some free merch. I think he's eyeing the nice, polished white mug. It's a pretty sharp-looking mug. Speaking of our guest, we probably should get this thing rolling. Pun intended. Get it? Yeah. Oh, today's guest goes way back with me. He roamed the same rough and tough streets in the hood of Dunkerton, Iowa. I wonder if that joke's going to land. I don't know. We were a couple of years apart in high school, so we know each other pretty well. We used to play this driveway basketball on a low rim over at Fueling's house where big men could dunk. I was probably the only one that couldn't, but Matt could. All the other big guys could. So, and years later, we worked at Omega for a few years together. Yes, he was in on the free chips for life prank that I fell for. He was in on that. So it's in the process of finding that video. That video's out there. I've reached out to Shannon Beyer. Shout out, Shannon. If she gets it to me, you're going to see that in this episode somewhere. Can't believe I fell for that. And in my defense, I mean, for the coworkers, it was a setup of epic proportions. When we get to explaining the prank, that they deserved it. I mean, they worked for this thing. I don't know how it actually went through, but it's going to be good. If I'm going to give a compliment and be honest at the same time, he's one of the best bowlers that I know. And yes, I'm a little jealous, not of his bowling skills that he apparently passed down to his daughter Ainsley, but of his name. I got a tough one. We all know that. Everyone has a good laugh with it. He hit the jackpot with his. Matthew McConaughy, what is up, man?
Man, what's going on? It's been a long time, and if I'm the best bowler you know, we got to introduce you to some folks. I'm telling you, this 210 house hack. We need to get you into some circles.
Yeah, well, I've moved out of the bowling circle, so I think you're kind of at the top for good. So, but yeah, we spent a lot of times. I mean, you remember those days we would go from work if we were going in at 4, and if we got off at noon, sometimes we'd go over and we'd hit the Chinese buffet, and then we'd go bowl at Cadillac or something.
Oh my God, that Chinese restaurant isn't even there anymore. No. It's right at Hanson's convenience store has that whole building now.
The whole building, yeah.
Man, that was crazy.
That was it. Ryan Landau, shout out Ryan Landau. You remember that?
Yeah.
What was that? Was it China Walk?
Maybe.
What was it? I can't remember what the name was.
I don't either, but it was awesome.
It was like homemade Chinese food. It wasn't like going to the Great Dragon Sky Buffet. There's a chain of them.
Right.
That was good stuff. The good old days. So yeah, we're gonna reminisce a little bit. It's always a little dangerous when I invite an old high school friend back because they know the old me. So I'm kind of putting myself at risk here, but Matt's got a lot of interesting stuff to share, so I invited him on, and we're going to just let him start rolling. So what does life look like right now for Matt? Work, family, age, all that stuff, for anyone who doesn't know you.
Well, let's start out with being super proud of the new Bubba. Like, I mean, you're right. We are going to go way back, and we'll probably get into some stuff, but, the new Bubba is awesome. Like, the old Bubba was great, too, but the new Bubba is fantastic.
Appreciate that.
As far as me, grew up in Dunkerton, born and raised there. Live in Hudson now. We've been in Hudson for, 13, 14, 15 years now.
Okay.
We were in Waterloo and moved to Hudson right before Ainsley started school.
Okay.
Been married to my wife, Shauna, for almost 21 years in October.
James, that deserves applause. We celebrate long marriages around here.
Hopefully we keep it going. I mean, hopefully we don't stop soon, but let's not make 21 years the pinnacle. But yeah, so Ainsley will be a senior at Hudson High School this summer, or this fall.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm already looking at summer. I mean, I can't figure out, you were talking about Bridget getting married. I don't know how we're old enough to have kids that are even remotely into that realm, much less they should be starting high school.
We were announcing him, right? Didn't we? We were still at Omega when we were both starting to have kids. And
yeah, JJ and Ainsley are the same age.
Okay. Yeah, that was right.
Yep. JJ and Ainsley are the same age. So,
man.
Yeah, you guys got started early, but we tried to catch up. We decided we were I wanted 2 kids, Shauna wanted 1 kid, and we compromised and we had 1. So,
marriage advice from Matthew McConaughy.
That's right. So anyway, yeah, like I say, Ainsley will be a senior this summer, or this fall at Hudson High School.
Yep.
I've been in transportation for a little over 20 years. Actually, we used to build cabinets. I got my first transportation job at Omega, coming off of the production floor and setting appointments for truck deliveries, and that was the beginning of my transportation career. I've been around the block a few times since then, and currently working for ADS Recycling in Waterloo.
Okay.
Fun fact, my second time with them. I worked for them from 2013 to 2016. I left for a couple opportunities that I thought were going to be better and wasn't. And they were looking for my job again a couple years ago, and I was excited to get back. But anyway, so yeah, that's kind of where life is now.
Okay. What do you do on the side? You got a side gig.
Oh my gosh.
I love.
I got all kinds of side gigs.
Yeah.
So the first one is I'm the official scorer for the Waterloo Bucks. This is my 8th season.
Nice.
Working for the Bucks. Yeah, so if you're at a Bucks game and you see a ground ball get hit and you want to argue with me, just come on up the press box. I'm in the fourth window from the left. So
nice.
But yeah, those are mine. I love to watch baseball. Baseball has always kind of been my gig, and I love baseball, and I know a lot about baseball, and so yeah, this is my my 8th season with the Bucks. I'm also the president of the Youth Bowling Scholarship Foundation, which is in its 4th year now. We started just after COVID.
Okay.
So basically what we do is we fundraise through tournaments, through a number of different options as far as fundraising. And then so our youth league kids, our Saturday morning kids that come in and bowl league, they bowl a 24, 25, 26 week league starting in September. While those kids bowl, they will achieve certain accomplishments. It might be pins over average. It might be a game without opens. It could be a high score. It could be a number of things, and they'll acquire points. At the end of the season, we will award those points a dollar amount.
Okay. So
in 4 years, we've given away almost $60,000 to youth league kids just for bowling league. So shout out parents.
Wow.
If you're playing travel baseball, if you're playing travel volleyball, if you're doing all those other things, that's cool. That's great. Those kids aren't earning any scholarship money. You can bowl youth league. You can bowl rolling bowling balls at pins inside where it's air conditioned, where it's heated, where it's super nice. The conditions are controlled, and your kids will start earning scholarship money.
Wow. Man, that was a sales pitch like no other. You just rolled right into that. That was awesome.
It's almost like I've said that before. I mean, you see, and okay, I'm going to soapbox for just a second. You see so many families like wanting their kids to play travel baseball, travel basketball, travel volleyball, all those things. And those are fantastic. They're fantastic sports. They're great opportunities. But I know so many people that have to write like a fairly substantial check just for those kids to play.
Yep.
And then you see some of the heated moments at like a U8 baseball tournament. Like, man.
Yeah, the ugly side of it.
Right?
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, we've got...
Where's the return? Like, you're saying there's a return if you're in this bowling.
Right.
Guaranteed return.
My daughter's been fairly accomplished and to a certain level. I mean, her class is loaded. But anyway, long story longer, like, we were giving away like $200 and $300 to 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old kids this season. Wow. Imagine you do that, for 10 years, 15 years.
That's
$200.
a nice chunk.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anybody that doesn't need a little help with college.
Man, heck yeah. Wow. Like, that's way different than my youth bowling experience. Youth bowling for me was Saturday morning. We hit the Tasty Donuts drive-through, get some donuts and chocolate milk, and I was a happy, fat kid. Right. I mean, that was it. I loved it.
So we can talk more about the foundation at some point in time. But,
good.
it's a...
So that's Matt.
Real
and I learned something because I didn't know you were in Hudson. Last I remember when we were still working together or whatever, you were in kind of off Burton Avenue in Waterloo, and... the one thing that sticks out is you guys went probably on a bowling trip somewhere and you said, stop and get my mail. And you supposedly warned me about your cat. I don't remember the warning. This cat ate me alive. It hated me. It got my legs. I think I went twice while you were gone to get your mail. Because you said if the mailbox fills up or whatever, it doesn't go good in the city of Waterloo. So you got to go get my mail. And yeah, that cat clawed me, and when I was so ready to let you have it when you guys got back, and you're like, dude, I warned you, I told you. And I was like, what did you tell me? Yeah, my cat hates people. Be on the lookout or whatever. Like,
I forgot about that.
Oh, I didn't. And I didn't write it down, but I was like, I better get that out now at the beginning because else I'll forget. But yeah, is that cat still alive?
No, that cat passed away before we ever left Waterloo, but she didn't even like my wife really. She loved my father-in-law. And that was about it. Like, so yeah, she was a Dan fan, but
man, cats are awesome. I like cats. That they're not, emotionally shallow animals like dogs, but that makes no sense why they like one person and not the other. Like, that was painful. I mean, if there was a camera in your house, if we had, security cams back then, you would I was jumping around like a girl, running around from this cat in your house. It was embarrassing, but okay, that's how we do it here. That's a rolling start on the What Is Up podcast. We share a little bit. Okay, let's move into your story. Everybody knows part one is we're going to get to know the guest a little bit. So we're going to go back to those old days, Matthew McConaughy as a kid before he hit Hollywood. Oh, that's the other Matthew McConaughey. Sorry, I'm going to play that to no end. What was it like growing up, man? Give us the deets.
So I'm the last of 5. My folks were both married to somebody else, and I'm the only product of them. So I have 2 half brothers, 3 half brothers, and 1 half sister. But kind of like you talk about, Tom was never your wife's grandpa, right? I mean,
right.
He was just grandpa, right?
Yep.
So we didn't have halves, so we still don't have halves.
Good.
We're all one happy family. So yeah, my dad had a boy and a girl. My mom had 2 boys. Fun fact: my sister is the youngest of those 4, and she's 16 years older than me. So I was very much when we get together, like I have siblings that are retired, and here I am looking at another 25, 30 years to work.
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome.
Looks like a little prison sentence.
Right.
25 to 30 yet.
So growing up, my dad was a truck driver. He owned a fleet of trucks at one point in time. My mom kind of ran the business side of things at the house.
Okay.
At its biggest point, I think we had 5 trucks, 1 pneumatic, and hauled a lot of grain with grain trailers and stuff, doing out of the field to the elevator, to the processors, all that good stuff.
Yep.
My mom kind of ran a couple different restaurants at different times in her life, one before me, one during me. When I was in junior high and early high school, she ran Grandma's Place there in Dunkerton, and I was the Saturday morning short order guy.
Wow, I don't remember that. Was that before I moved up here?
I don't think so. It was in the old library right next to the community center. And then after she sold it, it turned into
Video outtakes?
Yeah, I was gonna say Gene's video store.
Okay.
So yeah.
Wow. Shout out Gene McNamara. Video outtakes. Small town video store. There was nothing.
Man, we could tell all kinds of stories about the back room at Gene's when it was up the street, man. When
on the other side of the road,
playing like Sega tournaments with Joe Montana football, and
yeah.
Oh my gosh, all kinds of cool stuff. You just roll in there and get yourself a pizza, and he'd cook it in the old pizza oven, and you sit there and pay. I don't remember how much it was for every 15 minutes, but here's $20, Gene. How long can I go?
Wow. Yeah, because you could rent game systems from him too. I remember I was renting Nintendo 64 for the weekend or whatever.
Yep.
Oh, good memories.
Hey,
before we move on from the trucking thing, so what was the story? Your dad hauled grain for a particular movie that was filmed in Iowa, or he hauled something, water. He hauled something.
Yeah.
And you were telling me about it.
Yep. So we had a pneumatic trailer, a bulk trailer, a tanker.
Okay.
And the movie Country was filmed in and around Dunkerton and Reedland.
Yes.
So we actually, there's a big rain scene in the middle. I mean, this is like not before me, but I don't remember much about the movie Country.
Right.
But there was a big rain scene in the middle of it somewhere, maybe at the end. I don't know. But we hauled all the water for that movie. So my mom was always super proud of, they took a photocopy of the check from the Disney company, from Walt Disney.
Wow.
So that was always a cool deal for her to talk about, was, we got a check from Disney.
Cool.
Now I don't know if it's cool to have a check from Disney, but
it's not the same Disney.
Right.
Everyone knows that.
Yep. But so yeah, that was a big deal. If you haven't
seen Country, you want to see Dunkerton? You want to see what put Dunkerton on the map? It was country, pretty much.
But the co-op in that movie is Reedland.
The Reedland co-op.
Yeah, it's the Reedland co-op. It's not Dunkerton.
Yeah.
I can't remember why Dunkerton didn't want the. So I don't know what the backstory was, but for whatever reason, they used the co-op in Reedland, not the co-op in Dunkerton for the movie.
Do you know for a fact it was offered to Dunkerton and Dunkerton said no?
Don't pin me like that.
No, I'm not.
Don't
I'm just saying.
Don't do that to me.
I'm trying to get to the facts.
Yeah, I mean, I was 3 or 4 years old when this movie came out, so I mean, it's all second, third, 12-hand stories. But
so I probably still go to church with people who were definitely very involved or understanding of that when that.
Oh, I'm sure.
So
absolutely.
I will be asking tomorrow. Hey, did Dunkerton Co-op get offered to be in the movie and they turned it down for whatever? No, I'm gonna get to the bottom of this. Update coming soon. Pay attention.
I-Team report.
That's right.
You didn't even know you're getting into investigative reporting.
No, that's the benefit of going to church with mostly seniors. No, I'm kidding. We are getting a younger crowd at FBC in Dunkerton. We've got a whole young group section. So, okay, I didn't mean to steer you off track there. All right, so they got the successful trucking company, and you're cooking in the mornings, on the weekends for mom. What else was young Matt's life like?
I mean,
junior high school, stuff like that.
Junior high school. I mean, I grew up with a great neighborhood of kids. Like I had a ton of buddies in the neighborhood. I mean, there was 6 or 7 of us that we just did all kinds of stuff together.
Because it was still the good old days.
Yeah. And we had a great open field like 2 blocks from the house, and everybody went down to the Wissing's house to play football. You just you kind of showed up, and whoever came, and I remember Bubba's father-in-law always spinning tales about being a quarterback for the Vikings and wanted to be all-time quarterback for us all the time. And, shout out Stan, but those are always good stuff. He fooled some,
Yeah.
all those young impressionable minds.
But he didn't get you.
Nah, it didn't get me. But I mean, we did a lot of that stuff. I mean, you played the in-season sports when it was the in-season sport.
Yep.
If it was summertime, you were playing baseball. If it was the fall, you were playing football, and you were scooping snow off of the basketball court at the park.
You remember Fueling's basketball?
Oh gosh, yes.
You and Reed, man, you guys, that was your zone. You get down by the rim, get you the ball. That one little turnaround drop step, Reed would always throw that little pump fake in, and by the time you're coming back down, he was going up hard. You guys,
7-foot all-star. Look at me.
That's right.
7-foot rim, not 7 foot tall.
Correct.
7-foot rim.
And yet I was still the only kid who couldn't dunk. The mini ball. Yes. Remember, it was a big deal. I could get the mini ball in.
We played the McConaughy sometimes down the street from there too, up on down the street. But yeah, so I mean, we were always outside doing that stuff. I mean, we didn't have the technology we have now that we're all tied to, but fortunate or unfortunate, I mean, blessings and curses, all that stuff.
Sure.
But, so we did that, and that was always in the summer. I grew up as a gospel hall kid. We were a Christian home. My folks were both saved. My dad first, a couple of fellows from the gospel hall. We're hot and heavy on my dad to get him get him to the Lord, and that was awesome. And my mom was a little more resistant, but the story my mom would always tell when she would tell her testimony was the original restaurant they owned was called the Coffee Cup, and it was right out in front of where the mini mart used to be, like right before you get to the viaduct that isn't there in town anymore. But I drove through Duncan for the first time today in a long time, and I can't believe how much it changed.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's I'm good at sidebars.
You're talking like on the corner there where the Quick Star used to be?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, right downtown in the floodplain.
Yep. Gotcha.
But anyway, so the story my mom would tell was when she finally came, when she was finally the whosoever in John 3:16, she was sitting on a pickle bucket doing prep work, pregnant with me. So, rest my mom. She's passed away a couple of years ago, so that's kind of where my salvation story started.
Wow. Yeah, because John 3:16, for whosoever believes in him will not perish but have everlasting life. That's awesome. That resonated with her at some point. Everyone's got a choice to make at some point. That's awesome.
You and Ryan were talking about getting into the back of the book and winning, and how you get into the end of the New Testament, and it talks about all the things that we're going to do, and how we do win in the end, right?
Yeah.
We win in the end. And that was one of my dad's always favorite lines was, Matthew, I've read the back of the book. We win. Don't worry about it. Like that was always his line. And I think he stole it from a Gaither song. Cause I remember a Cathedrals number with that in it, but
yeah, man, that message, it doesn't matter if that was 30 years ago or not. That rings true today. People need to hear that today.
Right.
Man.
And just kind of going back to Ryan's episode a little bit, Ryan was a Gospel Hall kid too. I mean, I grew up with the whole Nesbitt family. I mean, the Nesbitts, the Mushes, the McMillans. I mean, we were all together back in the day. And so I know a lot about Ryan's story. I remember a lot about Ryan's story.
Right.
I was actually a manager on the basketball team that Ryan and Roger played together on that kind of started that Alive and Running movement, which is, they were just a sponsor at the Bucks a couple of weeks ago, and I got to talk to Ryan and Robbie Wheeler for just a few minutes, before I went upstairs. And so, yeah, it's always cool to catch up with those guys and shout out to those guys. I mean, what they have put together in 12, 13, 14 years now, something like that.
Yeah. 2010.
So,
Man.
I mean, that it's awesome what they're doing to not only raise awareness in suicide prevention, but also deliver the good news, right?
Oh yeah.
There's a reason to it. It's not, it's multifaceted for sure.
It really is. Yeah. It started off as suicide awareness and prevention. Now it's like mental health improvement 24/7.
Yep.
But Ryan definitely lets people know for sure, like where his hope is, where the true healing comes from, for sure. But you don't have to believe the same way as us to be a part of Alive and Running. Tremendous organization. You're right.
But kind of going more into my testimony, I guess, a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I came to the Lord April 13th, 1990. I kind of talked about how my dad was a grain hauler. He actually bought a maybe his only ever brand new grain trailer at Wilson Trailers in Sioux City.
Okay.
So he wanted to go, I can't remember if he wanted to go check it out, if he wanted to see it. We weren't bringing it home. We were in the car. But so anyway, we're tooling along through the countryside, and back in those days, you didn't have GPS. You didn't have a cell phone to look up where it was to go eat. So we had stopped to get gas, asked where there were some places to eat in Cherokee, Iowa, and they gave a list of 3 or 4 places. And then there's this other one down the street. So we drove past a couple of them, and they were super busy. And the last one, of course, that's how the Lord works, right?
Yeah.
We go to the last one and drive by it and see the hours, and Romans 10:9 is on the hours sign in the window. One of those little ones with you clip the letters in it.
Okay.
Like an old menu board.
Yep.
And Romans 10:9 was on the sign, and that was actually the verse that my dad was saved from.
It resonated with him, huh?
Of course, that's where we were going to start. That's where we were going to eat breakfast that morning. So fast forward through that, the owner comes out and he's talking to my dad, and of course my dad had the gift of the gab, right? He was pretty good at it. Starts talking to the owner. The owner's name was Carrie, talking to him about the verse in the window. And of course, now this is how the Lord works again, right? Because I wasn't saved, and so where's the conversation end up? Well, right in my lap. Well, how come? Just start asking questions. All the right things. And the backstory to the owner of the restaurant was he had bought the restaurant, and it was a bar in the back, and he was a recovering alcoholic now that he had come to the Lord, and opened up a Christian bookstore in the back of the restaurant. So he turned the bar into a Christian bookstore.
Wow.
Goes in the back, comes out with a track for me. And I had been convicted for a while. Like, I mean, I knew all the stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody, knowing Jesus, knowing about Jesus are two entirely different things.
Wow, that was good. That's true.
And so, I mean, I could give you all the rundown. I mean, give me the biblical passages. I mean, tell you the stories, the fable. I can do all that stuff.
You had it up here.
I know it. You know, I just don't know it. And so to kind of speed ahead, you know, Ephesians 2:8-9 is a you know, for by grace are you saved through faith, not of yourselves. You know, that passage keeps going into Ephesians 2:10. For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus.
Yeah.
I misread it, but I was supposed to misread it, because that's the verse that saved me, was Ephesians 2:10,
Okay.
not Ephesians 8-9. 2:8-9.
Okay.
For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus. I don't know how I misunderstood it, but I misunderstood it exactly right. At that point, I misunderstood it exactly how I was supposed to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at that point in time, that was, you know, when I came to know the Lord
Nice.
on
Nice.
April 13th, 1990.
Love it. Love it. All right. Of course, at that point, it's just happily ever after, right? I mean, just your life has gone swimmingly, all this good stuff, but that's not true. That's not how life works. There's ups and downs. There's all kinds of stuff. What happens next in the life of Matthew McConaughy?
Man, so we get through high school. I go to Kirkwood College, play a little golf at Kirkwood College, and that was awesome.
Nice.
Tried to get a degree in broadcasting, and that didn't work out quite so hot.
Aw.
They didn't ask me to leave, but I chose to leave because it wasn't working out so hot for me. So anyway, then I decided I'm going to try Hawkeye for a little while, and UNI for a little while, and I was working at APAC customer service, and
APAC.
I got offered a supervisor job, and man, I got it. Like, this is my ticket to the world.
I remember you at APAC.
Yeah. So I quit going to school at that point and got into the customer service business, and never went back to school. But bowling for me, it has turned into like a real passion. I started bowling in high school. I was dating a girl from Cedar Falls that bowled. That was an easy ticket to go see her every Saturday morning.
Heck
That
yeah.
was like
Heck
locked
yeah.
in. Like, no, I have to go because I have to bowl league. Can't, you know, no excuses. Like, gotta go. So that's kind of how I got started in bowling. And then my wife, her brother was a bowler. So when we got together, we started bowling, and
Okay.
we were bowling couples league on Sunday night and just enjoying, you know, company with other not great bowlers like ourselves. And
Yeah.
then Ainsley started bowling because we were bowlers, and that was what you did on Saturday morning was you went to league and she started bowling when she was, I don't know, 3 or 4 probably. But
Wow.
yeah. And now I won't bowl against her on anything hard anymore. I can still beat her on a house pattern, but if it's hard, I don't want anything to do with it. She's too good.
Man. Yeah, that's great. 3 to 4 years old. That's insane.
And now, shout out back to the foundation. Like, just from bowling league, you can make a lot of money. I mean, she's got a good chunk of money in a scholarship fund already. It's not going to pay for a lot, but you know, some of the institutions she's looking at aren't UNI and being a public school. But at the same time,
right.
it's all going to help, and that's all from just showing up and bowling.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's makes sense. It makes sense. There's plenty of worse things you can do out there, but yeah, I like it. I wish I maybe would have done some of that because, yeah, and you know, there's a stigma about Hawkeye now. I don't know if you've heard of this or got wind of this, but like some people, that used to be the thing. Like, you save money, you go to Hawkeye, then you go to a bigger school. And nowadays, some people kind of like frown or look down on Hawkeye, and I don't quite understand that. Like, if you do because now they can get so much done in high school that,
Yep.
you know, you can have a year done or whatever, but I don't understand that. Like, Hawkeye, like, not everyone's meant to go for a big 4-year degree, or not, you know, why are people knocking a community college where maybe you only need that 2-year degree? I don't get it. So maybe people listening today, some of the young people in the audience, send me an email, whatisuppodcast@gmail.com. Tell me what's so wrong or what's the knock about going to Hawkeye.
I think the big thing is, like, with the dual enrollment in high school, like, you really can get a lot done. That's one thing I wish that Hudson probably offered a little bit more of is the opportunity to dual enroll. I know so many of Ainsley's bowling friends, they're going to go into college as once they graduate high school, they're going to go in with maybe an associate's degree as much. They might have their first 2 years done already.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's just like, so I think that's probably some of it. And for the last 40 years, we've been preaching college, and not trades or anything else. And so, I don't want a 2-year degree. I need a 4-year degree. Well, we probably set some folks up for not probably the best sense of direction.
Yeah.
But
it takes all of us. I'm trying to tell people, like, think about it. Like, we need people in every position. Not everyone is, capable. Not everyone should just go right into the workforce like I did. Or, then I messed around at college, didn't know what I wanted to do, wasted some time there. How do you go to Hawkeye for 3 years and not graduate? It's a 2-year school. How do you go for 3 years? You have to try to not graduate. And I got good grades. But, not everyone is meant for college. Not everyone is meant to go right in the workforce. But we need both. We need people to do jobs and stuff. Yeah. And Mike Rowe, shout out Mike Rowe. Love to have you on, buddy. Gosh, that guy is doing incredible stuff with his Mike Rowe Works. And I know he had a big documentary coming out this summer, big movie that came out. It was really good stuff. Just talking about, how the country works and how it takes all of us. And you don't have to, pigeonhole yourself into a certain stereotype or certain thing. Like, be flexible. You never know where life's going to take you. But so something we've teased, I can't remember if you sent it to me, and these dogs, I tell you, how am I ever going to hit the big time with this happening? But I think you sent it. I've shared with the audience how the process works. I have an idea for a guest, or someone reaches out to me. Hardly anyone ever reaches out to me. I have to reach out to people. But I send them the information. The show has kind of an outline format, and I say, here's kind of how I do it. Here's segments to choose from. Here's information I want from you. You send it back to me. I start making the outline, and that's how it goes. I'm pretty sure in your notes somewhere, maybe you sent it back to me that's saying, you were a part of the greatest prank of all time. And I think we just need to spend some time and relive that. A lot of people that are kind of in our circle maybe remember that, or not a lot, but some people. The majority of people probably don't. So you were involved in that. So do you want to tell a story, or?
Man, I'm going to let you tell the story because and the reason is because, like we were talking about before we got started, like, I remember how it ended.
Oh yeah.
But I don't remember how we got there.
Oh,
and say I'm a part of it, co-conspirator maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know that I had a part of it, because that was like some of the stuff that they had to like swindle was pretty ingenious and way above my pay grade.
Yeah.
I just had to keep the straight face and make sure that I didn't blow it.
That's it. That was the subtleties. The subtleties made it. And I've said this to a lot of people. It does not take much to amuse a factory worker. When that's what you do for a living, when you show up, punch the clock, we will laugh at anything. Anything amuses us. We are just intellectually dying inside the factory. So we're starved for entertainment. So this is what it was. This goes back years. Whenever they were doing the first remake of the original Willy Wonka or Charlie and the Chocolate, whatever you call it. I think it was the original was Willy Wonka, right?
No,
I can't remember.
I don't know. Doesn't matter.
So the remake, they do the remake with Johnny Depp, and just one day look, Burt Blyleven's bobblehead, he's like, his head was just moving up and down like, yeah, tell this story. They set the stage for the prank by mentioning one day that, hey, and this is just people in the door sanding department at Omega. So it was a bunch of us. Who was it? It was you, me, Gibby, Shannon. I don't remember if Ryan Landau was still there or not. You remember anyone else who was there that we can kind of...
Oh, man, I can't remember the lady's name. She wasn't there very long, but...
Oh, Chris.
Yeah.
Was Chris involved in it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, she was
Chris
still there.
Calhoun, yeah.
And then oh, man, I'm terrible with names. I can see faces all day.
It wasn't John Pint, was it?
Nah, Metcalf.
Richie
Metcalf.
Richie Metcalf was in
he
on
was
it?
in on it, and then the expediter guy. I can't remember the expediter's name.
Gordy was in on it, I
Yep.
think, because you'll hear about him in a minute. But yeah, so multiple people were in on this, and it just started one random day, somewhere around the time this movie was going to be made or whatever, coming out, and somebody mentioned to me, just in random conversation, did you hear Frito-Lay is like a sponsor of the movie or whatever? They're doing a big contest. They're going to start putting golden tickets in random bags of Frito-Lay products, like everything, full-size bag of chips, anything they make could have a golden ticket in it, and you'd win, just a variety of prizes. And this is where the prank worked. 2 months go by. No one says anything. They planted that seed. And by not saying anything, they watered it into this beautiful flower, this fruit-producing plant that was just ripe for the picking. So 2 months later, a day came. Everyone knew I had kind of always had a sandwich and chips, a sandwich and a small bag of chips for lunch. And this is how I know God was in on this. This is how I know, yeah, we're going to get biblical here. God has a sense of humor. Because the day the prank came to fruition, I ate my little mini bag of chips at first break. So when it comes lunchtime, all I have is a sandwich. And we're sitting on the roller line at lunchtime, right by the aisle. And here comes Gordy walking back from the break room with 2 mini bags of chips in his hands. And he says, hey, I just got a 2-for-1 out of the vending machine. You know, that always makes you feel lucky. When you put your dollar in and instead of getting one thing, it spits out 2 at you. And he goes, hey, I got 2. I don't need this other one. You want it? And I was like, a sign from heaven. Yes, I do. I mean, it was a miracle. I was like, I will absolutely take that. So I take this bag of chips, and I don't know if you were sitting next to me. Somebody, I can't remember, but it was just normal lunch break. We're all kind of spread out, and I'm sitting there eating my sandwich and chips, and I go in for a chip, and I feel something different in there. And what do I pull out but a perfectly laminated, authentic golden ticket that has fine print, has everything on. I mean, this is legit. I just won free chips for life. And then it gets fuzzy from there, but I know I stood up and put both like raised fists in the air in like triumphant victory. And I'm turning around to look at everybody like, you guys don't know. Like I just hit the lotto. Like I'm about to leave all you suckers or something. And little did I know, like people over on the sanding table had a very well-placed small Sony Handycam camera underneath a coat and a lunchbox aimed right at me. And so I'm thinking I won free chips for life. And then it hits me. That wasn't my bag of chips. By rights, the right thing to do would be offer it to Gordy. I have to go, and I would not do that today. Like you win it, you win it. Like, but it just instantly in my head, I kept thinking, I'm going to win free chips for life, and then at some point it's going to get back to Gordy that he gave me that bag of chips, and that would be awkward. So I go over. He's in another department. I go over, and I'm happy as can be, but I'm like, Gordy, man, this is all you. Look what I just found in your bag of chips. It's yours if you want it. It's not mine. And he just had this weird grin on his face, and I'm just like, dude, no, seriously, it's a contest. And I start telling him how Frito-Lay is doing this big thing. And he's just smiling at me. He's like, I think maybe you ought to go back to your department. And so when I get back there, everyone, you, Shannon, Gibby, whoever all was in on it, and then I realized I'd been had. So I reached out to Shannon. I reached out to Gibby and Richie to try and get me in touch with Shannon. And she said she does have the video of this event. The video is not as cool as being a part of it. It's really not, but it's still proof that it happened. And if you know the story, when you watch the video, you can realize, yeah, free chips for life. That was like winning a gold bar for me. So I was excited. And, a side note on that was, Omega used to do these 5 and 10 year, 15-year anniversary breakfasts. So when mine came around, I can't remember which one it was, 5 or 10 or whatever it was. You go with your supervisor, and your supervisor in the big meeting, says, yeah, this is so-and-so. They've worked in this department for this long. And they list all these good qualities and all this stuff, valuable employee, always on time, all this stuff. Dan Seeks, my buddy, Dan Seeks, who is, I will destroy in fantasy football this year. What does he get up and say? He says, this is Bubba. He's been here however many years. He's the most gullible guy at Omega. He thinks he won free chips for life. And I'm just like, Dan, everyone else said all this heartwarming stuff, and that's all you got for me?
Now, to be fair, I mean, Shannon is an amazing craftsperson, so hopefully you get Shannon on to like talk about this, because shout out Shannon, she was fantastic. But she is like amazing at like coming up with that stuff, and so incredibly crafty, and like has a great eye for that stuff. So the authenticity probably would have gotten lots.
Yeah, it should have got everybody. But the fact that you guys started this prank months earlier, and then the ticket was legit. So yeah, all it was the attention to detail. From what I understood was someone got the bag of chips, opened it from the bottom. Like you knew enough, open it from the bottom, put the ticket in, and then use that little resealer thing. It wasn't Scotch tape. It was like the legitimate resealer.
Yeah.
I don't even know if those are still around anymore. But just in case, don't do it from the top. Do it from the bottom so he doesn't even feel the and it was the best prank of all time.
Don't move that, okay? He's in the middle of looking for other. Just go away. Okay, I'll tell you about it later. Gordy had no idea what it was about. I'm not going to tell you what it's about because I don't want you to ruin it. Walk by, tell Bubba that you got it out of the machine by accident, and then ask him if he wants it. So now he's going back to Gordy and he feels bad. Gordy gets back to him. He wants it. Gordy has going to have no idea what it is.
She was good at practical jokes. Like she was good. She was the mastermind behind a lot of things that went down in that department. She was good at it. She was really good at it.
Yeah, we did all kinds of stuff. We'd put those wooden dowels inside the, I mean, this isn't right. This is dangerous, but we'd put the wooden dowels in the air nozzle, and they were just the perfect fit that when you blasted them with 120 PSI, them things could go quite a ways. And if they hit you 10 foot away, you felt it.
You knew it.
Wasn't terrible, but we were idiots. And then what was another good memory we had at Omega? We talk about the good old days. I remember we got into like arm wrestling at one point, paper football contests at one point. We were always doing something to, I don't know, compete with each other or whatever.
Well, I mean, you talk about like, I can't remember exactly how you put it, but like mind-numbing things in a factory, right?
Yeah.
Deterioration, I think, was the term you used. And I mean, to a certain extent, you just stand there in a line and do the same job all the time, all day long. And man, but just some of the conversations we would have, like, I mean, because the way the department was set up, you had 4 sanding tables and two or 4, it doesn't matter. But anyway,
right.
So like we could all like converse through the day, and putting stuff on the line and, making fun of like, I mean, even shooting like brads out of the air nailer from the guys that were building stuff. Like I mean, like all the stuff that like, there's no reason that you should ever do that.
No.
But as kids 20 years ago, like, oh yeah, that's funny. Oh, watch this guy dance. Bang, 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 bang. You know what? Come on, really? But yeah,
not OSHA approved.
No, gosh, no. And kids at home, if you're listening, I'm not condoning any of this
Correct.
activity.
Right.
Make sure we get the disclaimer in there. But yeah, gosh, we just had a lot of fun. I mean, that was a group of folks. I say guys, a group of folks that like you did really spend more time with them than you probably did at home with your family.
Yeah.
And so like for us to get along for the most part was always pretty enjoyable.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as work goes, but
yeah. I can't remember if it was you or someone else gave me a hard time. I think it was one of those things because we were going in at 4 a.m. a lot because we were on overtime. But then when it got to the point where we weren't, we stuck with that 4 a.m. because then we could have, if we skipped lunch, we'd be out at noon.
yes.
And so that's when we did some of the bowling or the Chinese or whatever. I think we went to Mama Nick's one time. I can't remember if you were in on that. But do you remember I was trying to take pizza home from Mama Nick's and somebody had to remind me, you don't take a buffet home. You can't do that.
I don't remember, but I'm
that?
also not surprised.
Yes.
But
Idiot.
one of the things, okay, so you brought up something that, what was one of the things? You and Ryan absolutely hosed me one day.
Oh.
Because me being me, like, I would get there, I don't know, 3:15, 3:20, and I'd always park right by the door.
Okay.
And I would be always stretched out, take a nap, and I'd have an alarm set to go in at, 3:50 or whatever, so I'd go punch in. And one day I'm just like snoozing away, and man, it had to be early. It had to be like middle of the summer because like I remember the sun coming up.
Okay.
Well, the sun ain't up at 4 o'clock.
No.
The sun might be up at like 5:20.
5:20, 5:30.
But the sun ain't up at 4 o'clock. And I kind of pull my hat up over my eyes and peek out. I'm like, man, it is really bright. And I look at the clock in the Explorer, and I'm like, oh my God, it was like, like 5:20, 5:30, whatever. So I go busting tail inside, go punch in, and there's you and Ryan just sanding away. I'm like, what happened? Like, oh, we saw you out there. I'm like, you saw me out
a window, guy.
Yeah, you saw me out there, and now it's 4:15, and where is he? Like, it's not like you missed it by 10 minutes. I mean, we missed it by an hour and a half.
No.
Like, oh, I didn't know. What are you talking about? You didn't know. But No.
That's terrible.
It was a one-time deal, and I probably didn't nap anymore after that. But you know,
man, yeah, I forgot I was thinking yellow Monte Carlo. You always had that yellow Monte Carlo, but oh man, yeah, that's the good old days right there. That's fun stuff. So yeah, your daughter Ainsley and my son James, they're really close in age. So I can remember, and I've shared with people on the podcast, I think, or maybe I shared it in a sermon once, that when Sarah told me she was pregnant with Bridget, our first child, that same day at Omega, I had put my head in our water bucket that we used to put our pop bottles in and stuff.
Yeah.
For $1. Just for $1 bet. Hey, will you do this? Yeah, I'll do this. And then I come home that day. Yeah, you're going to be a dad. A guy who does that's not ready to be a dad. Hashtag you're never ready, but you're made for it. So you can do it. So then it comes time for you and Shauna. You're about to tell us, hey, we're going to have a kid and all that. And for some reason, why I didn't have the respect for the situation, like I don't even let it breathe. I don't even let it simmer. I don't let you get a moment. Sarah and I are having number 2, and you just kind of look at me like, guy, of course you guys are. Like, I can't have a moment here at all.
I don't remember that.
Oh, I remember you looking at me like, of course you're going to say that, Bubba. My goodness, man.
That's a real big deal. Like 17 years later, I'm still bent. You can tell I'm super frustrated with that. I don't even remember.
Those are the things that occupy space in here that I should let go for more meaningful stuff.
That's why we have dumb dad moments. It's because we have so much information out, like we can't process it quick enough to get it out of our mouth. That's
right. Man, I still remember, you still remember we wouldn't, when we were doing the 4 a.m. stuff, we wouldn't go to the break room closest to us. We would go way down the aisle, way back, like past the paint area, and we'd hit that vending machine because it had one section that would open 2 slots.
Oh, I do remember that. I do.
So it's the plastic polyglass door, and you slide it open, and it only opens one compartment. But there was one that it would open 2 spot, and you could get your twin biscuit or whatever, and another twin biscuit.
Yeah, it wasn't stealing; it was embracing opportunity.
Oh my god! Oh, that's a good way to put it. And we would fight over who gets that slot. Like who? Oh man, we were pathetic. And you guys all did it. Gibby, you did it. You probably showed us how to do it. You're probably the one who figured it out.
Oh yeah, it has to be me. I'm the mastermind of most things.
My goodness.
No, it was though. That was so good. I mean, just the stuff that I'm going to call us kids at that point, because we were adults, but man, we were still kids.
Yeah.
I just the stuff kids do is not excusable, but man, good stories, and we didn't hurt anybody. So
that's right. Man, that's good. I like reliving that stuff. We always talk about the good old days. My kids hate hearing me say that, but that is it. When you could just go to the empty lot next to your house or in your neighborhood, play some sports or whatever, and man, I don't see that much of that anymore, where the kids just get together and play tackle football with no pads or whatever. But yeah, those were the good old days. So I think that's going to do it for part 1 with my old buddy Matthew McConaughy. All right. No, that one going to land? We'll see. I hope you guys enjoyed his story. That was fun to relive some of that stuff. And man, there's some encouragement in there too. I mean, sometimes when the Lord gets a hold of you, he just does. And it could be in a pretty interesting way. It could be misunderstanding a Bible verse, but when he gets you, it gets you. So, but we had some laughs too, especially there towards the end. So you're going to want to tune in next week when we get into his segments. All right, there is going to be a couple new ones. That's right, new segment alert right here. Our creativity department here at the What Is Up podcast, they came up with some good ones. All right, and I'm also going to surprise him. I hope Matt sees these in his notes here. I'm going to throw a couple new ones, a couple different ones at him too. We're going to quiz his knowledge on Gen Z slang. I think he'd be a good fit for that. He's probably going to do terrible, but he's got a young person in the house. He's probably heard some of this stuff. You want to find out which legendary Motown musician that he would most want to meet? You're going to find that out next week. And to close out his episode, Matt asks, what is up with seeing gender and race in every single situation? Is it helping us? Is it hurting us? What is up with that? We're going to get into all that next week on part 2 with Matthew McConaughy. In the meantime, be sure to follow, subscribe, like the podcast wherever you're listening or watching. There's this video. You can watch it. Not actual video, but usually a slideshow. Then follow our social media on Facebook and Instagram. And last but not least, share it. Share it with everyone you know so we can keep growing and reaching more people. The numbers are constantly going up. We got to keep that going. If you got questions, comments, ideas, or maybe you know someone who would be a great future guest, maybe you want to be a guest, email me, whatisuppodcast@gmail.com. We can start talking about things. We can get this thing going. We still have shirts and hats for sale. Matt's leaving here with one of our Sharp mugs today just for coming on the podcast. Thanks to a nice donation from my grandpa and my aunts and uncles. We're going to be restocking all of our inventory with whatever sizes, colors, whatever you guys want. We're gonna replenish everything. So we got what you want. So get your order in to me or to Sarah. I'm not trying to get rich off this thing, but this equipment wasn't free, so I'm just trying to recoup a little bit. That's all. Let me or Sarah know. We'll hook you up. I thank you guys for listening. I thank you for all the support. It really means a lot to us. Lord willing, I'll talk to you on the next one.